Hey, 80% of baby boomers are retiring broke right now. And I'm talking zero savings, forced to sell their house, and still working a job at 72 years old just to pay for meds. Have you seen any of this? Is this actually happening where you live? You know what the scariest part of this is? Most millennials are on the exact same path because they haven't taken their time to escape this trap. So I'm going to show you the $1,000,000 mistake that boomers are making and exactly how you can avoid it too so you don't end up like they did. Now, smash that like button if you're tired of hearing just work harder, because everybody else knows everything's going to get more expensive from here. So do me a huge favor. Before we get started, drop a comment right now and tell me how old you are and if you actually believe that you're going to retire comfortably. So let's see the truth about what's really going on in the comments below, okay? So here's the problem. Let's start off. Let's look at the hard data so you know I'm not just pulling your chain. The Federal Reserve in 2025 took a survey, and 63% of boomers have less than $100,000 saved for retirement. And the average boomer Social Security check, it's $1,920 a month. Now try living anywhere in the United States, in any city, on that. And also, 1 in 3 boomers still have a mortgage in retirement. And 27% of adults over 65 are still working. And that's the highest number ever recorded. Now, I talk to these people every single week. They call into our office and in the comments here on this channel, and they write things like, I thought my house would fund my retirement, and now I can't sell it, and I can't afford to stay here. Or, I've worked 45 years to pay everything off, and inflation has eaten it all. So that's the reality of 4 out of 10 boomers. Broke, scared, regretful. Now, here's what should keep you up at night. If you're in your 30s and 40s, or even 20s, you're facing everything that they faced, but on steroids. Look, college debt. Boomers paid $3,000 a year for college, but you're paying $45,000 plus. Housing in the 1980s, the median home cost 3 times the amount of income, but today it's 8 times the amount of income. And wages versus inflation, look, your real wages have been flat for 20 years. All the while, rent, healthcare, food, all this stuff has been doubling. And Social Security, the trust fund that is projected to run dry by 2034 or 2035, that's when you're supposed to retire, right? Now, boomers, at least they got cheap houses, 15% interest rates, and then they crashed and went down to 3%, and maybe even had a shot at getting a pension. But today, you got side hustles and 7% mortgages and $1,000 a month truck payments and 401ks, if you have one, with very little in them. Now, if you follow the exact same playbook that they did, buy the biggest house you can afford, max out the credit cards, 30-year mortgage, save whatever you have left, you will absolutely be broke as well. But only worse, because there's no bailout coming this time. So here's the solution. It's a total 180 shift, and it actually works in 2026. Now here's 5 moves that separate 30, 40, and 50-year-olds who will be millionaires in retirement. And it's going to completely separate them from the ones who are trying to find a job at age 70. Move number 1 is stop worshiping stuff as the golden ticket to your happiness. Look, boomers made their money because they bought real estate in 1980 through 1995 at 3 to 5 times their income. And interest rates, again, they dropped from 18% to 5%. And that's probably not going to happen again. And you want to treat your primary house as just a place to live. You want to buy a modest home and see if you can swing a 15-year mortgage. It might not be possible, but if you consider renting out rooms or investing that difference, the numbers could or may not work for you. But I know a guy who lives in Northern Virginia, and Northern Virginia is not cheap. The homes there are probably more than a lot of other places. But what he does is he's renting out rooms in his house. He's got a 3-bedroom, 2 baths, so he rents out the 2 bedrooms. And he's actually funding that into his mortgage. Doesn't work for everybody. It's just an option. Here's move number 2. Build a 7-figure portfolio before you ever pay off low-interest mortgage rates. Here's why. Historically, the stock market returns 10% over the long term. There's ups and downs, but over the long term. And a 5% mortgage is free leverage. Now, here's the example I'm going to put on the screen right now. If you had $50,000 invested at age 30, growing at 10% for 35 years, that's going to equal $1.76 million. Now, let's take a look at this. In the same $50,000 used as a bigger down payment on a mortgage only saves you $400,000 in interest. The math wins every time. Move number 3, max out all tax advantage accounts that you can and then fund them in this exact order. Do it this way. The 401k first, then the Roth IRA, $7,000 a year you can put away in 2026. Then the HSA triple tax free. That's the health savings account. And then the mega backdoor Roth, if it's even available. And then taxable stocks within a brokerage, Schwab, the normal stuff that you hear about. Here's move number 4, and here's how you get this ahead going, is you create a third stream of income before the age of 40, because this is only going to compound with time. Now, I absolutely love multiple streams of income. It's a big favorite of mine for the last 40 years. And boomers who are actually okay right now, guess what? They own 2 to 4 rental properties that they bought decades ago, or they have a small business going on. Now look, here's the fact. You can't buy 4 rentals in 2026 on your one single income, but you can have a flip for profit side hustle to get your investment cash flow started. And here's what I did when I was in my 20s. You want to think of stuff like mid-century modern furniture, or tools, or trading cards, or basic transportation cars, or sneakers, or anything that you personally know and you understand and you know where its true value actually is. Then you buy at wholesale prices and you sell at retail prices. Now look, you want to start local, like Facebook Marketplace or garage sales or auctions. You think about buying and selling items that have a low barrier of entry, but yet a higher success rate for regular people. And this is a way you can make an easy extra $500 to $5,000 a month right now. The next thing you do is, after you have your seed money, is you start a cash flowing business. Cash flowing, not a business, a service business. Or you can buy a cash flowing property somewhere in the South. They get creative financing. It's a little bit cheaper here. And then move number 5 is, and this is the key, guys, live on 50 to 60% of your income. There's no exceptions here. I'm going to tell you why. Boomers who lived on 90 to 100%, they saved whatever they had left, right? Which usually is zero in many cases. If you can't live on 60% today, you're never going to retire. Never, period. This is something that you really need to learn. Now, here's a real life example. My friend Alan, he's 34 years old. He makes $110,000 a year. But the deal is, he only lives on $50,000 a year. He's investing $45,000 a year. So let's take a look at what's projected when he's 60. $4.8 million, and that's if he has a conservative 8% return. He's not fancy. He's driving a 2015 Honda and he rents a 1-bedroom apartment. But he will be free when most of his coworkers are laughing at him as they lease their $85,000 trucks and will continue to work forever. Because Alan did this earlier in his life, it's the compound effect, guys. The earlier you do this, he's going to have the freedom that if he decides to lay off the gas, he's not going to do it as fast because he's set himself up from the compound effect. It's what happens over time. Now, if you do this, for 15 or 20 years, here's what your life is going to look like. At age 50 or 55, in that range, you're going to have $2 to $4 million invested. Then you're going to have the ability to retire at any time and to do what you want to do when you want to do it. The option there is to buy your dream home, maybe just pay cash, and zero financial stress when everyone else is panicking. But here's the truth, guys. 2026 through 2030, this is your last window where houses are still somewhat affordable in certain markets, and the stock market is growing and recovering. Now, look, you miss it, and you'll be having the exact same regretful conversations in the comments 30 years from now. So here's what you need to do right now. Drop your age and your current investments in the comments. I'm going to read every single one of them. Then tell me which of these 5 moves that we just went through are you going to start this month? And then smash that like button if you're committed to not retiring broke, okay? Go ahead, subscribe, hit the bell, because next week I'm dropping the info that I used on my last rental property, how I bought it, and how it's paying me every single month. Look, here's the fact. You're not doomed. You just got to stop copying a generation that's currently eating cat food in retirement. And if you subscribed, I'll see you in the next video. And if not, I'll see you in the next comments down below. Take care, guys.